What's up, guys? It's me, Grey Wolf, back here to do another video for you. This video is one that I'm pretty excited to do. It's one I've been working on for quite a while, and basically what this is it's a soldering station shootout between two budget stations and one higher quality station. And the three stations that we're going to be working with are going to be the Track Power TK950, which most people in the RC hobby are familiar with and do recognize as a higher quality soldering station, up on par with the hakkos and things like that, the lower end hakkos or whatever. It's technically a clone of the 936, but it's still very comparable to, say, the newer 888 from Hakko. So the Track Power can be had at virtually any retail place. I know Amazon's got it, A-Main's got it, Tower Hobbies has it, and it's around 80 bucks. The Sigma 60D comes from Amazon for 40 bucks. It does have Prime, so if you have Prime, you can get free 2-day shipping. And I believe even if you don't have Prime, it still has free shipping. The third one is the Yahoo 936 from hobbyking.com, and I believe that ran me about $33 and some change, shipped from a US warehouse. The Track Power TK950 is my personal soldering station. I've had it for 3 or 4 years. I got it on a Black Friday special. I can't remember if it was either 3 or 4 years ago, but it does have a fair amount of use on it. So just bear in mind that the performance on a new one would probably be at least 10% better than probably what it is now. But that being said, I already had to buy the other two stations plus a Hakko FG100 soldering iron temperature gauge, so I just didn't have it in my budget to buy a new Track Power just for the sake of this video, because unfortunately my channel's too small to make any money or have any sponsors, so we'll just have to wing it. The unboxing, just real quickly, the Track Power, it's been a few years. I don't recall the exact nature of it, but I don't recall it being anything that I thought, oh wow, that's cheap or it sucks or whatever. The Sigma actually comes in a very nice package. It's very easy to open. It's sturdy. It's easy to open the internal boxes inside of it and get all the stuff out. The Yahoo comes in a very thin, cheap, papery type box. It's terrible. The internal boxes are hard to open. Box contents. The Track Power. The Track Power is pretty basic. However, it does come with 2 tips. It comes with a 1.2 millimeter cone tip, and then it comes with a I think the other one is a 3.2 millimeter wedge tip. The Sigma, actually, I'll do the Yahoo first. The Yahoo comes with nothing but 1 tip. That's it. Of course, outside of the standard, of course, all 3 of them are obviously going to have a base, the station itself, and a soldering pencil, right? So other than that, it only comes with 1 tip. The Sigma, by drastic comparison, comes with a whole bunch of stuff. It comes with a desoldering tool, or solder suckers I like to call them. It comes with a total of 6 tips. It comes with an ESD strap. It comes with a small roll of lead-free solder. It comes with a replacement heating element and a replacement fuse. Totally blown away by all the stuff that it came with for 40 bucks. Warranty. I looked up the warranties on this just because I wanted to show I wanted to see what the warranties were, to see if it reflected like the difference in quality levels, and it really does. The Track Power warranty is 5 years with a 1-year warranty on the pencil, or at least the heating element in the pencil. The Sigma the Sigma comes with a 1-year warranty on everything except for the fuse and the heating element. The fuse and the heating element do not have a warranty at all. They're not covered under the warranty. The Yahoo The only information I could dig up on hobbyking.com would suggest that it has a 1-year warranty, but it didn't. Hobby King's a weird, kind of a weird thing. Their warranties, their warranty descriptions on their website it's very vague. So without trying to contact them, which takes forever, as far as I can tell, it's 1 year. The tips, the tip quality. Okay, the track power actually uses original hakko tips, or at least original hakko 936 tips. The tips are much bigger in diameter and actually in length too, but they're definitely bigger in diameter than the like the clone hakko 936 tips, which actually makes them not interchangeable. You cannot use a fake hakko tip on the track power, because the collar, the lock collar that holds the tip on the pencil, is much bigger in diameter to accommodate the bigger tips, and the smaller clone tips will just slide right out of it, the collar, because it doesn't hold them. And vice versa, if you try to put one of the bigger tips on the other machines, the lock collars actually won't fit around the tips because they're not big enough. So just a heads up, if you buy one of the budget stations, make sure you buy the clone hakko 936 tips, because the originals won't work. There's an advantage to having the bigger, thicker, the thicker diameter, longer tips, like the track power and the original hakkos, and it all has to do with like thermal recovery and thermal sag and stuff, which I'll cover in another section. The pencils themselves, the track power pencil has a nice feel, has a comfortable rubberized grip. It has a full ceramic heating element, has a nice strain relief, and the other end is a male connector with the same nice strain relief that the pencil end has. The Sigma has a nice feel. It also has the nice comfortable rubberized grip. It does have the metal heating element instead of the ceramic, which metal heating elements are not, they do not perform as well as ceramic heating elements, which we'll get into later on. Again, most of it has to do with, you know, thermal properties. The pencil does have a nice strain relief. It's the same as the one on the track power. It does have a little bit longer of a cord, you know, between the pencil and the station. It does have a little bit longer of a cord, but it's only a few inches longer than the track power, so it's really not that big of a deal. Nice same strain relief on the other end. The Yahuwah, it has an okay feel, but it doesn't have the same comfortable rubberized grip. The grip is a little more hard, has a little more of a hard plastic feel to it. It's not a huge deal, but it just doesn't feel as nice as the other two. It has, when it comes to the heating element in the Yahuwah, I'm calling it a hybrid element, because it is essentially a ceramic element, but the ceramic element is contained within a metal sheath. Why they did that, I don't know. Maybe it's just a cheaper way to make a ceramic heating element or something. I'm just going to call it a hybrid ceramic heating element. The strain relief is okay. The other end is a female connector with a so-so strain relief. It's not that great quality, but it's okay. The bases, man, there's a lot to talk about on the bases. The track power base has a full metal construction, has a nice deep reservoir under the sponge, which I really like. It does come with the decals you can put on it to make it look cooler, which is kind of nice. I just wish the decals were a little bit better quality. The pencil doesn't sit in the base completely flush, which is actually one of the few things I can actually ding the track power for. However, if you take the base and you shake it around and stuff, the pencil will wobble around because it doesn't sit flush, but it won't become dislodged or even fall out or anything like that. So it's not a huge ding, but it is a ding. The Sigma base is plastic construction with a thin metal reservoir tray under the sponge, but the reservoir tray is only, the depth of it is only a couple millimeters, like 2 millimeters tops. It's very shallow. I wish they would have made it a little bit deeper. The one thing where Sigma hit it out of the ballpark, though, when it comes to the base, is the fact that they actually have a little tray right above where the sponge is, or I say tray, it's a little cubby hole right above where the sponge is, that contains a little bit of steel wool. So you actually have both cleaning options right there in the same base. That is an awesome feature, and I don't know why every soldering station base on the planet doesn't have that feature, because they really should. The pencil sits very nice and secure in the base. You can pick it up and wiggle it around. It doesn't really become dislodged, and it certainly doesn't fall out. The Yahuwah base is very cheap, with a very thin, even thinner than the Sigma metal tray under the sponge. Of course, there's no reservoir under it. It's completely flat, and there's no hole in the sponge, which I don't really like, but it's, that's not a huge deal. It's more of a personal preference, I guess, but it is nicer, I think, to have the little hole. It's the smallest and lightest out of the three bases. The pencil, it sits fairly flush, but if you pick it up and shake it, it will become dislodged pretty easily, and actually can even fall out if you continue to shake it, which the other two did not fall out. So that was kind of a big ding to me. The collars on the bases where the pencil actually fits in on the track power and the Yahuwah are removable, and they're identical in size and shape and everything. So just as a comparison on how light and chintzy the base is for the Yahuwah, I took those collars off the bases and I weighed them. The Sigma, or I'm sorry, not the Sigma, the Yahuwah collar weighed in at only 22.8 grams, and the track power one weighed in at 79.7 grams. So the track power weighs almost 4 times as much as the cheap Yahuwah base. Very crappy quality, actually. I don't like the Yahuwah base at all. Let's see. The external case construction is virtually identical with all three units. Again, though, the Yahuwah took a shortcut and did not add the little rubberized feet on the bottom that the other two units have. The internals of the units, both the track power and the Sigma, both had very clean, very professional looking PCBs. The solder joints were very well done. If not machine done, they were professionally done. There's no flux residue on the PCB or anything like that. In comparison, the Yahuwah has very crappy solder joints. They were obviously hand done, probably not by professional electronics technicians, and there's flux residue all over the PCB. Just very cheap and crappy looking. And even the components that are soldered onto the PCB look cheaper and lower quality than the other two units. The Sigma is the only one with an inline fuse, so replacing the fuse is very easy. The other two units, their fuses are both soldered into a small PCB inside the unit. So they can be replaced on all the units, but the Sigma, obviously very handy to have an inline fuse. You can just, pop open and put a new one in. The time that it took for each one to go from room temperature to the temperature that we set them at, which was 750 degrees. The track power did it in 33.1 seconds. The Sigma did it in 32.6 seconds, so nearly identical. Although again, bear in mind the track power is 3 to 4 years old. And the Yahoo, believe it or not, I was actually a little bit shocked that it took this long. It took 1 minute and 2 seconds for it to get up to temp. I have no idea why it takes that long to get up to temp, especially in light of the thermal recovery properties, which I'll cover here in a minute. But I was pretty blown away that it actually took that long for it to heat up. Out of the box calibration, all the temperature tests were done using an original hakko FG100. It's not a cheap clone off of eBay. Although watch out for hopefully probably my next video, or maybe a couple videos down the road, I'm going to do a comparison video between the original hakko FG100 and the cheap, you know, like $10 to $13 clone units that you can get off of eBay. So we'll see if the original is worth the $200 price tag it comes with. So the track power came in right around 720 degrees Fahrenheit, about 30 degrees Fahrenheit less than what it was set to on the dial. The Sigma came right around it came in right around 722 degrees Fahrenheit, or about 28 degrees less than what it was set to. The Yahoo actually came in at 790 degrees Fahrenheit, which is, you know, obviously 40 degrees higher than what it was set to. So the Yahoo definitely was the farthest off calibration, but the track power and the Sigma both weren't all that much better, actually. Okay, thermal sag and thermal recovery. This probably isn't going to be a big deal to most RC people, because most RC people don't do a lot of repetitive soldering, which is really where your thermal sag and thermal recovery have the biggest bearing. Thermal sag and thermal recovery, basically what that is how far the temperature sags on the iron on the tip while you're actually heating up something and, you know, like say tinning it or whatever. And then the thermal recovery is just simply how long, or, you know, how long it takes for the iron to recover from whatever it sagged to back up to whatever it's set to, if that makes sense. Again, unless you do a lot of repetitive soldering, like on a PCB or something like that, where you're doing, you know, 10, 20, 40 solder joints, just, you know, back to back to back to back to back, thermal recovery and thermal sag really isn't going to be that big of a deal. But if that's something that you might be worried about, because maybe you're like me and you do extra, you know, electronic stuff on the side, as well as, you know, soldering stuff for your RCs, then this may be of some interest to you. So what I did was I set up, I tinned 6 wires back to back to back. Then I took the iron and placed it on the hakko FG100 to see what the tip temperature was reading at, and then simply counted how many seconds it took for it to recover back up to 745 degrees Fahrenheit. Now, the reason I used 745 degrees as opposed to 750, which is what it was set to, is all 3 of the irons had a similar property of, once it got to about 745 degrees, it took several additional seconds for it to get from 745 to 750. So it's almost like the units purposely slow themselves down once they get close to that target temp. So I just used 745 because that seemed to be about where the cutoff point was. So the track power, after soldering after tinning the 6 wires, had only dropped from 750 down to 716 degrees Fahrenheit, and took roughly 3 seconds to recover back up to 745. The Sigma dropped all the way down to 654 degrees Fahrenheit and took about 14 seconds to recover back up to 745. This right here is a perfect highlight of an example as to why the metal heating elements are inferior to the ceramic heating elements, and it has to do with the thermal properties, like I said earlier. The ceramic heating elements are, and it also has the tips play into it as well, as I mentioned before, because the thicker that tip is and the bigger it is, the better it's going to retain heat. So those two things combined is why the track power did not sag very much and had very fast thermal recovery in comparison to the Sigma. And that is the single biggest difference between the two, is that heating element and the thermal properties that come as a result of having the metal heating element versus ceramic. The Yahuwah dropped down to 685 and recovered in about 5 seconds. So again, this is why I started calling it the hybrid tip. It kind of has a hybrid performance. It does sag more than the track power, but the recovery time, because of that extra ceramic core in there, it was much faster than the Sigma. And then for the last part, I'm just going to throw out some extra thoughts here, and then I'm going to summarize and wrap it up. The track power is definitely the highest quality of the three. It is the nicest to work with and to solder with, especially, like I said, doing repetitive soldering. The Sigma is a very close second, and I actually was blown away at how close of a second it was. I have a kind of a hard time saying that the track power is superior in quality, because if it wasn't for the tip and it wasn't for the heating element, it would be the same. It really would. So if you're on a tight budget and you don't do a lot of repetitive soldering, definitely the Sigma is what I would buy in that case. Now, if you happen to be on a very tight budget and you do end up doing a lot of repetitive soldering, then you might want to look at a Yahuwah at that point. They're not terrible. I've said they're garbage and trash, and I don't know what other terms I've used, chintzy and all these things. And compared to the other two, that's true. But for $33 and some change, there's no reason to be afraid of it necessarily, because it's a decent station. I mean, I was able to solder with it just fine. And the thermal properties are actually fairly decent. They're better than the Sigma. Really, the big thing with that station is just going to be the durability. How long is it going to hold up? Because it's not very well built. So, at any rate, like I said, if you fall into that category, look at the Yahuwah or possibly another clone that has a ceramic heating element that may be cheaper than the track power. One other thing to note, that the Sigma is digital. As opposed to the other two, which have analog dials on them. However, the thing about it being digital, really the only thing nice about it being digital is the fact that it's easier to calibrate. But other than that, it doesn't show like the temperature in real time. All it really shows, it will show the temperature in real time as it's heating up, but once it gets up to temp, the only thing it displays is the max temperature. So the fact that it's digital, since it doesn't display temp in real time, to me really isn't that big of a deal. Unless you just like the looks of it being digital, I guess. So another thing to keep in mind also, the track power, I guess because I'm assuming track power must be a US company, because it only comes with a Fahrenheit readings on the analog dial. The Yahuwah actually comes with Fahrenheit and Celsius readings on the dial, and then the Sigma can be switched back and forth to read either Fahrenheit or Celsius. No budget system is ever going to perform as good as a high quality system, and they're never going to be as durable, and they're never going to have as good a warranty. So if you can afford the better stations, I really strongly urge you to buy one of the better stations. Buy the track power, buy a Hakko, buy a Weller, something like that. All three of those companies have stations that can be had in the $80 to $100 range. So that's really about it. I think that wraps up. Everything fairly well. There's really a lot more there's really a lot more to what I did. And if you want to see all the pictures, and if you're interested in you know, like all of my thoughts on all the different factors that I compared and inspected and tested and all that kind of stuff, I urge you to check out the longer video. Even if you just skip around, you can skip around, see some of the pictures and various stuffs. You know, I urge you to hop over there. But I know there's a lot of people. In fact, I know you know, I just know from experience now that when you put up a video that long, very few people are going to watch it. It's not going to get very much coverage or replay or whatever. So I wanted to make this shorter version for people who just wanted the meat and potatoes of it and didn't necessarily want to sit there through, you know, a 50-minute ordeal. But at any rate, that's it for this video. Like it if you give it a thumbs up if you liked it, give it a thumbs down if you didn't. If you didn't like it, let me know why, and if your feelings are more complex than a thumbs up or a thumbs down, you know, leave me a comment and let me know. You can get a hold of me if you have any questions or comments, either at my email, which is graywolfstudios74@gmail.com, or you can also reach me via Facebook at www.facebook.com/graywolfstudios74. And last but not least, you can also catch up with me on my favorite forums that I hang out at, which is www.rcnitrotalk.com. Don't let the name fool you. We do have electric forums there as well. And that's it for this one. I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.